Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Once again, I'm back on another very important subject matter. I call this the Big Boys meeting on very specific social issues. Last year, in 2025, a group of us, grown-up men, sat together, 25 of us. Among the 25 group of men who sat together were men from all the generations, those like our fathers, those of us, Polakom, and the young fathers to whom we belong, the group. So we sat down on a giant big table here in Fargo, and we brought in 5 random topics of interest to discuss. Among the 5 topics, we asked the older generation to how they were running their homes, how they were husbands to our mothers, and how they were fathers to us. And we got some very interesting feedback from that conversation. One of the answers was, the way we raise you, our children, we raise you from absolute traditional South Sudanese cultures. And this has nothing to do with your education or your place in the society. We raise you as children, and the way we raise you, we taught you that in order to be a man in our society, you have to mark your territory, you must be disciplined, you must carry on your cultural values and your traditions wherever you go. That was the response from the old men we were talking to. Then the other topic was to us, the men who now our women call husbands. We asked ourselves, gentlemen, how are we doing? And we realized that among us, there were some other group of men within our community who are completely confused. They don't know if they're in the West, or they don't even know if they're still in Kakuma refugee camp or elsewhere around the world. They're here presently, but their mindset is completely different from the reality of the world we live in. The understanding of modern society, understanding of cultural values of the society they live in is completely opposite. So we identified those type of men among us. And then there were these academic scholars, the PhDs, the doctors, the engineers, the politicians like myself. Our views were different. So out of 25 men, we were sitting together here in Fargo, doctors from prestigious universities, academic scholars, traditional men from the old generations, the one that have never went to school completely, don't know anything about education, don't know anything about modern society, way of life. And the other one that are caught in the middle, confused completely. They don't know if they're in America or they're still back at home. They're just in between, lost in their ideas. So among the 5 topics we discussed was, how did we went wrong? We, this generation, who are now husband to beautiful wives here in the West. We were asking our older generation, the men who were our mother's husband, or we call them our fathers. We learned a lot from them. Some of the things we learned include that migrations and internet has isolated societies, that in according to the older generation. And we learned a lot of things, that the reason why things used to be much better in the old days was because society used to live together and society used to listen to each other. But in this generation, everybody is themselves. Nobody listens to nobody. Nobody cares about what somebody else said. Everybody is individual. Reason why there's a lot of misunderstanding in our society. We no longer feed each other with feedback information. We are either in competition with each other in ideas, or we are isolated because we are afraid to discuss issues of importance to us. That was one topic. The other topic of importance was also about our children. We brought in what is wrong with our children. Why is it that we have too many children on the street? Why is it that we have children who are pregnant without merit? Why is it that we have too many crime? Why is it that we have children who are running away from our home? Well, here's the answer that I got from that 25 men group. The answer was, we live in an intergenerational society. We who were born by these men that we call our fathers or husband to our mothers, we were not runaway children. We were raised just by the society. We were taught right and wrong. Our children, their grandchildren, the one that we now give birth to, are raised by us, the mothers and the fathers. And here is the reason why the children are acting the way they are acting. Number one, they are present in our home as our children, but in their mind they are foreigners. They are only children that we're just trying to help them to be 18 years old. Just enough. From the age of 16, a child will begin to count, I can't wait to be 18 years old. They start packing up their bag, they start talking about certain things. Part of it is because mothers and fathers, ourselves, we are busy trying to put the food on the table for them. We are busy working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. We don't have time to sit down and embrace them. By the time I'm working at night right now, when I get at home in the morning, my children goes to school. The only small time I spend with them is Saturday and Sunday. And that is the story across the globe. Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, here in the United States. So for that, the only thing that happened that make our children isolated from us is roadblock. They spend more time in their computers. They spend more time talking to each other. They spend more time. And when we see mistakes begin to happen and we want to address them, they rebel against us because they have a system in the West where you cannot whoop a child's tail. You cannot pull a belt and whip them because somehow if you do that, you're abusing your child. Somehow if you do that, a child is entitled to suggest, oh, I'm going to call 911 on you. I'm going to call the police on you. So primitive men who don't understand how law works in this country tend to believe that calling 911 after you whoop your child, you're going to go to jail. They don't know that somehow you can actually whip your child, and it's still not going to go to jail. They don't know that, but they just assume by you taking a bell and straight that child behaviors out, somehow you criminalizing their behavior toward that child. You're being brutal. So our South Sudanese children took advantage of a lawless society and took advantage of age promotion. Reason why they are now what? Drug addict, prostitutes in jail, or some of them are even killed, so to speak. So it is a phenomenon that 25 of us, the men who were sitting here in Fargo, talk about. Then we also talk about something else. We asked the group of men who are not even so sure whether they're in America or they're back at home or they're just in between, completely lost. We asked them, what is the plan? How do you go about your monkey business of life every single day? The answer was very interesting. I don't have a plan. God would plan things for me. Something quite interesting. Will forbid things. So, as we conclude the conversation. The 5 topics we were talking about on that specific forum of 25 of us, 4 men from the older generation, and 21 of us from the younger generation, the fathers, the new husband of our wives today. We look at the structure of our society today. Why is it that we cannot agree on certain things? Why is it that our children don't understand us? Why is it that we, the new husband, find it very difficult to maintain our home? What is wrong with us? Well, I benefit a lot from that conversation from the older generation. And I'm sure all of my colleagues who were the doctors, engineers, scientists, politicians also benefit. They learn something new. So the purpose of all of this conversation is to relate situation that is happening in your house, if you are a South Sudanese out there. And I choose English in specific to fit the broader audience of our society, not specific only Jiang that I normally talk to. So on the topic of the children, yes, our children, we give birth to them, we take care of them, but in their mind, they are foreigners living in our home. They are foreigners living in our home because in their mindset, they want to live the Western full life. And we're trying to drag them back to our cultural life. So we have 2 dynamic cultural conflict. We still believe in the way we used to do things back at home. It doesn't work. We used to believe raising a child in the West, we must raise them in according to our traditional values. The way we call them Nyandeng, Achol, Bol, Deng, blah, 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 all this beautiful name, or whatever. And then to a group of Agudweng in America, the so-called Agudweng, their mindset is completely different. If you go into a club of Agudweng in America, these are middlemen, men that are completely confused. They don't know if they're here in America or they're back at home. And they believe somehow there's some kind of miracle that's going to descend from the sky to give them the opportunities in the future. They still believe in their mindset they're just children growing up. Yet the world beneath their feet is changing every single day. They're not hustlers like us. Now, to those of us who are hustlers, our story is completely different. So the purpose of this video, families and friends, it is good. Sometimes we shift from this dramatic politics to seriously look at our small world we live in and look at what is going on in our surrounding. Who do we surround ourselves with? Who do we listen for advice to? What is going on? But it is easy. We crowd on social media, on TikTok, on Facebook here, on what is it? There's something called, what is it? My Club or Clubhouse or whatever. I'm not a member of Clubhouse, so I don't know what that is. And we trash each other to the maximum. And our poor children to whom we're trying to raise to be noble character citizens, they are listening to all of this noise around us. They're learning, oh my God, if my mom can speak like this, if my dad can speak like that, why not me? So that's what I took from the 25 Big Boys Club meeting here in Fargo. It was a very productive meeting. And I learned to not have a heart attack if I see my child turning their butt upside down and doing something that I have never done or something that her mother have never done. I'm not going to have a shock or kill myself over that. But had I not gone to that 25 men club conversation on social issues, I would have felt miserable in my house, thinking that I'm suffering this traumatic disease by myself. Now I know. My eyes are open, my head is open. Now I realize whatever is happening in my house is also happening across the street to my neighbor. So out of this conversation, here's what you take. You take 3 things out of it. there are open-minded men like myself, a group that are westernized, a group that has adapted to the new reality, a group that woke up every single day and have a purpose to where they're heading. There's another group, we call them the middlemen. These are a group in their 50s or in their 60s, completely confused. They're waiting for some kind of miracle to descend from the sky to provide them opportunities of life. And then we also have a group of our older generation who are also shocked. Some older generation who went to school are familiar with what is happening to us. Some traditional, the so-called Agudweng or Agudmabior or Agudmachar or whatever their names are, they're shocked like hell to what is happening. They're used to traditional way of, if your wife is misbehaving, you just pick up a big broom and beat the devil out of that woman. But what they don't know is that time has changed. Days when you used to beat your wife doesn't exist in our traditional values as society, as educated, advanced community. Days when you used to discipline your children by taking a broom or whip them and whatever, doesn't exist. And at the same time, there was also another important lesson I have learned. The so-called merit has ended. The traditional merit of Monjang or merit of any culture has ended with us. We are the last generation to whom the word merit will ever exist. So what you will continue to see in years to come is that your daughter will pack up her luggage. She's going to go to her boyfriend's house. That is now the concept of merit here in the West. The idea that you have to go to the church, you have to gather people, you have to dance, you have to do all the good things that we used to do, we, their fathers, doesn't exist in the young children of our offspring, our children. It doesn't exist. So if you're waiting to see your child is going to go to college, is going to graduate, somehow is going to find a nice job, and somehow she'll get married or he will get married, you can rest assured that it's not going to happen. Believe it or not, I've seen this movie again and again across the United States. From my work, I've been able to travel, learn some few things from one family to another family, from one community to another community. And the pattern is the same. It doesn't matter what church you and your children go to, what mass, what traditional goddess you believe. The culture remains the same from one culture to another culture to another culture across the U.S. It's a phenomenon that has affected families, that has made it very difficult to even husband and wife would now rethink twice if they want to have a child or not. Because traditionally, the reason why we need to have children, we want our children to inherit our history, inherit our cultural values, inherit our good name, carry on what we, their fathers and their mothers do. Not in this generation. This generation is completely alien to our understanding. You tell them about home and cultures, they look at you like, huh? What are you talking about? The home to them is here. The home to them is their TikTok, my Facebook, my WhatsApp, my Instagram. That's their home. Their culture is exactly what they learn from their friends. That's their culture. Their culture is their neighborhood school, where they go, what they want to do. So that is another important subject, social subject matter that I had wanted to address to all of us, that we have three form of men group in the United States, the older generations from a different time, the 1960s through the 1980s, through the 1970s. And then we have the younger generation from 1980s through the 90s. And then we have the millennia, the dot-com children, either the children that are born by us here in the exile more than 30 years ago, 20 years ago, from 2001, from 1996 to the present. When you look across all of this generation, you'll find one thing that is very clear. All the generation from 1950s, 1960s tend to be more traditional, and then the disconnect began from children that are born from 1979 through the 90s, to whom those of us Bolakum now belong as part of that group. This group have not had a chance to live in traditional cultures, had not had a chance to keep cattle, had not had a chance to do all that good stuff our fathers have done. What we are left with in our mind is imagining what it used to be. And there's two different things when you're trying to imagine something or you know something. Imagining things will make you do wrong more. But when you know some things, it makes you do right. So the children from the 80s, or the generation Lost Boy, myself included, some of us grew up in exile completely, disconnected from cultures, disconnected from reality. And what we have today is what you call cultural imitation. We're just trying to imitate what we used to hear from folktale stories from our fathers and our mothers. Back in the days, we fall from the sky. Our culture used to be this. We used to worship this kind of magic. We used to be this kind of society. That's what we have in our head. And then now, as we transition to our children, you sit down and you talk about your Dinka past, they look at you like, what are you talking about? They don't know nothing about your culture. They don't know nothing about where you're coming from. They don't know nothing about your society. Those are the issues, ladies and gentlemen. So if you see a black sheep in your house, because in every household, you can have 4 children or 5 children, great. But there's going to be one black sheep among them who is going to be completely different. That one black sheep, whether it's a boy or a girl, will come with absolute nightmare, would drive you crazy to the point that you hate everything called bringing up the children. So those are things that you will see, whether here in United States, whether in United Kingdom or Australia. You can have 10 children, but I guarantee you, among those 10 children, there will be one black sheep, one child who is going to be rebellious among the children. You and your wife will try everything. You'll cry, you'll take that child to the church, you'll take it to the magician, you'll think there's something wrong with that child. But that black sheep will come out to the point that you'll ask yourself, where's this child coming from? You look into your ancestral root as a father, be like, who among my family used to be this kind of crazy person? You'll never find that person. You will also look into your in-laws. When you fail as a man not to find where that child is coming from, you'll be like, maybe that child come from her mama's side. Maybe this kind of behaviors come from my in-laws. But the reality has nothing to do with your in-laws or has nothing to do with you. It's just, that's the nature of humanity. In every family, there's always going to be one person who's going to be rebellious against the rule. A child who will always say, I have to create my own rule. I don't care about your rule. I don't care about nobody's rule. So the take out of this conversation, if you are out there, the take out of this conversation is that consider the fact that we will never be the same people that left home 20, 30 years ago. We are a whole different society. Yes, we still hold home in our heart, but immigration has affected all of us culturally, whether you're from Equatoria, you're from Dinka, you're from Nuer, you're from wherever. All the 64 tribes of South Sudan living in exile, I guarantee you, the day you arrive at the airport with your small IOM bag or whatever it is that you were carrying, was the only first day in life you hold your traditional values into your heart. The moment you step your foot down the road in the cultural aspect of whatever society you live in, that culture no longer have any value whatsoever. So that was one aspect. The other aspect was, what's wrong with us South Sudanese? Why is it that our unity is so difficult? Why is it that we cannot be productive members of the society? Why is it that we don't have businesses like other communities? That was one of the topics that came up in the big boys table, the 25 of us that we were talking about. Why is it that? Well, I find it very interesting, and the explanation was very simple. The explanation was, the reason why South Sudanese don't have businesses is because majority of us, men of South Sudan, don't believe in collective effort. Everybody want to be independent and wanted to prove to the other person that I'm much better than you. That was the other important. The idea that you can gather as 10 people or 20 people and come up with subject matter, buy a home or invest in something else. It turned out that majority of men to whom we were sitting on the table, 25 of us, everybody don't believe on collective thought. We only believe that if I'm the one Bolakum invented it, I must be the one the society must see as a successful young man. Well, conventional wisdom challenged all of that. In order to succeed, I don't care if you have PhD or you have what, you cannot succeed with your own ideas. You'll only succeed as a group of like-minded thinking group as society. You can have PhD, you can have a lot of money, you can have whatever. Your chances of success with your ideas is zero. The reason Ethiopians are successful, Somalians are successful, Arab are successful, other communities in the Western world are successful is because they bury their alter egos. People see themselves as brothers. People see themselves that the effort we pull from each other in one direction or another can provide all of us the opportunity to succeed. But our mindset as South Sudanese, everybody wants to succeed by their own ideas. If I come to a group of 2 or 3 men and say, let's do this crazy stuff, there will be criticism. Who are you? Come on, you don't know nothing about business. Your idea will be challenged before it even become an idea. But if I was an Ethiopian man and I said, hey, why don't we just come together, 10 of us, buy one house, pay it off. People will clap and we'd be like, oh, that's a good idea. We buy one house, we sell it off, and rent it to somebody else. 5 years down the road, that house will give us 5 different houses. And before you know, all of us in the neighborhood have houses. Before you know it. Okay, we are truck drivers. Why do we continue to work for other people? Why don't we create our own truck business? I have a license to drive truck. Maybe somebody else has a license to drive truck. Not South Sudanese. South Sudanese will say, nope, that's not a good idea. I would rather just own my own money and do my own things. I don't care about. And whoever made that suggestion, 5 years down the road, he will still be broke. He will not have any money to even support himself. Because why? The pride, the alter ego we have as South Sudanese made us poor. That was what we found out from that group meeting. And then the other one was, what happened to our wife, our beautiful mothers, the mothers of our children? What happened to them? Why are they becoming different? Why are they not like our mothers back at home from back in the days? Why are these women so difficult? Well, the educated one are much better. They have much better understanding about what is going on in the Western society. They know budgeting, they know planning, they know how to cook, they know how to please. They rubber stamp the traditional girls that we pick up from God knows wherever. They're just too much argumentative. They don't need to be correct. They don't need to be told. They don't need to willing to learn anything. You sit down with them and be like, Mama, you need to go back to school. Mama, you need to do this. Mama, you need to do that. Mama, you need to do that. They'll be like, who are you? You're not my mother. You're not my father to tell me this. Yes, I'm your husband. I'm your big brother. I'm your father now. You're my wife. I can tell you this is how things are done. Well, and these are the ones that are now bringing a lot of cases in the courtrooms across the Western world. The one that think that they know everything. So there are three types of women that came in the West. Some came by luck through immigrations. Some had prayed to God. They seriously wanted to be in the West. The moment they arrive, they went to school, they become doctors, they become important mothers, they contribute value to families. Some completely, they live their life through competition. They go through their girlfriend house. Whatever they see in their girlfriend house must be done in the house. Oh, did you know what, honey? What happened? What happened? I went to my girlfriend's house. I saw her. She bought a $10,000 couch, a $10,000 TV. Oh, even the dress. It's like in her mind, whatever somebody else have done must be done to her. Oh, Nyandeng has an iPhone 7, no iPhone 13, blah, 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 blah. And then when you look at all of this, you would do an effort as a man to try to meet those demands to your wife. After tomorrow, everything that you have done yesterday change. New things come. So by the time when you try to seriously bring an order to the house and be like, hey, madam, can we cut up all the nonsense we are spending money on? Oh, she go and talk to Nyandeng from the neighborhood. You see, you are so lucky, my sister. Your husband allowed you to do everything. The husband I have, Mokona Mugumu, this husband of mine, he's so difficult. No matter what I say, he doesn't want me to do. And foolish Nyandeng would go and say, and what are you doing, my sister? Just divorce that fool. Get another one who will bend to your rules. And the foolish, who doesn't even know what is going on, will think the advice she got from her girlfriend is the advice. What she doesn't know is that she's being set up to burn her own house, while the person who is actually giving her advice is not doing what she's being told to go and do in her house. Those are issues we go through in the West. And those are issues that 25 of us, the big boys, in that 2025 Fargo meeting had discussed. And now, to you out there, it is up to you to look into this conversation, identify which part of this conversation resonate with you. If some of these are just a bunch of noise, skip them. Don't even waste your time listening to it. If they hold.
Jacobs did get assigned to him, and I can't assign it to him. Do you want to check yours when you get off break?
Okay.
Do you want to sign in and see if it's there for you?
Okay.
Forklift training part.
All right.
If it's not, I'll talk to Brent tomorrow and Cameron to see if they can assign it to you guys.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry about that. I assumed that they had already assigned it to you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, as you could see, families and friends, these are issues we have undergone understanding life in the West about. So for now, like I said again, revisit this video. Find, if you're a woman, I'm sure you'll find your description in this conversation. If you're a man, you'll find your description in this conversation. You'll benefit something out of this conversation. If this conversation doesn't resonate with you, skip it. We have too many material to consume on social media. There's too much noise globally that we can spend our time on. But use some of my videos for educational purpose. Educate yourself. Be aware of your surrounding. Be aware of issues that are affecting our community. Use also some of this material that I'm providing understanding of to educate yourself about the difference between the past, where we come from, and the present. And you also teach yourself how to be a good father, teach yourself how to be a good mother, teach yourself how to understand that unity is paramount in any aspect of life. You cannot succeed with your own ideas. Again, my break is finished. You see, because I've not done a good job, I'm not working under somebody else. But if I would have done a good job, I'd probably be the manager of this company I'm working with. But I regret nothing, because everything that I did it proudly, trying to support myself and my family. It's not too late. Some days I will be a manager of my own company. But right now, I must show respect to the system that I'm working in. So that's it, my people. Love you. I'll come back again with another topic. Be blessed.